Good morning. This is Jan West Schrock, and you're recording from Westbrook, Maine. Westbrook's a small town right next to Portland, so we're in southern Maine. Heifer began because of an idea that my father generated. It was 1937 when he, as a youth director for the Church of the Brethren, he was the director of a relief effort. And he took used clothing, powdered milk, and blankets to the victims of the Civil War in Spain. What they saw when they got there were women, children, older men. The young men had mostly been killed in the war. It was a horrible civil war. Barns were burned, cattle slaughtered. It was winter and they were cold and they were desperate and they were hungry. So they were passing out the relief, and pretty soon the supply of powdered milk was running low, and they had to make a decision then who would get this powdered milk and who would not. But these relief workers decided one day that it would be just those babies showing weight gain. So here were these well-intended relief workers that were making decisions of triage. And my father was devastated. He was 45 at the time. He saw the green fields. He knew they were farmers. They could farm again if their barns were put together and their fields were reclaimed. And so he said, these people need cows. Why don't we give them cows? And then they could live on their own. They came home from the relief effort. Home was northern Indiana. And he shared his story with many people in our neighborhood and in our churches. And it was right during the war that they started talking about, well, we have plenty of cows. Let's give from our herds. They talked to the United Nations, people at the United Nations, after the war, 1942, 44. And the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Agency, UNRWA, said, we'll ship the cattle if you will provide them. And they shipped them on the ships that ordinarily would carry the military equipment. The first 3 heifers were named Faith, Hope, and Charity. Everybody wanted to do something for the reconstruction of the world. We'd been just torn apart by the Second World War. The first 2 years of Heifer's big work, which was 1945 to 1947, we had many shipments that went to Europe and to Asia. 350 shipments. And each shipment had to have at least 20 to 30 cowboys to go along to tend the livestock. So 7,000 seagoing cowboys, and there were a few cowgirls, but 7,000 young men. They were there. They saw Poland. They saw the devastation in Germany. They saw people suffering. They saw the effects of war. Those people came back, and it informed their life choices. Many of them became social workers or ministers or teachers, but always had that burn within them because of what they saw. People got on board with that, and how it continued was really basically through volunteer efforts. Well, during the 40s, there was a big movements to help with this world that had been shattered. So the farmers and the people in the congregations gave generously, and they gave cattle in the beginning. They gave horses to help with the reconstruction of Europe. We gave cattle and a lot of bulls to Greece because their herds were depleted. We gave cattle to China in 1946. In 1946 also we gave goats to the victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So Heifer from the very beginning was mending the wounds of war. In Albania, in 2003, The community there designed their project, a piece, they call it the Cows for Guns Peace Project. And they traded in their guns for cows because they knew that that would make them sustainable. And let me tell you a story of one of the gentlemen. He named his cow Carbina. He said in the past, our guns, our carbines, we thought would keep us safe, but they only spilled blood. Now we have our cattle, and they spill milk and love and hope. We wanted communities to be sustainable and stand up on their own feet, and we wanted to be there to help them get started, but to work ourselves out of a job. So there wasn't a feeling of dependency. Now, there's plenty of call for relief when there are disasters and there are victims, but Heifer will come in, after that and help with development, sustainable development. That's what I love about Heifer. I don't know of too many organizations that are doing it like Heifer does. I don't know of too many development organizations that starts at the grassroots level, that starts with communities to help them understand what they need to be sustainable and how can they work together to get out of poverty, to end hunger, and also to care for the earth, which is a third aspect of Heifer's work. It's the environment. I think that Heifer can end poverty. We have provided an alternative life for them by our urban agriculture, which is gardening, growing vegetables hydroponically in Milwaukee to feed 10 families through the winter and to sell to farmers markets. They're doing this in Brooklyn, and so we have urban agriculture. Our biggest current projects in Maine right now are the immigrant gardens, community gardens with immigrant farmers. We have a lot of work that we do in the Mississippi Delta, farmers in extreme poverty, and with gifts of livestock and communities coming together, they are sustainable now. We now have 650 employees around the world. We are working in 50 countries. We have offices and headquarters in 38 countries. And we have dedicated staff from each country. By the way, that's how Heifer works. The staff are indigenous to the country. But our vision is that we see a world of communities living together peacefully and sharing the resources of a healthy planet. Out of the vision then comes our mission. Our mission is to assist in ending hunger and ending poverty and to care for the planet, to care for the environment. Knowing and understanding Heifer creates world citizens because people understand that our neighborhood is bigger than the picket fence.